Hello, everybody. Mike Shoesmith here, and the guy you're looking at in the picture is Cliven Bundy. You know, Cliven Bundy. Uh, this is the Washington Post here, and there's the text under the picture, which is a video here. I'm not going to play it though, but the text says Cliven Bundy. Let me just zoom up a bit here. Cliven Bundy, the Nevada rancher whom some Republicans and Tea Party activists have rallied around as he fights federal government efforts to restrict the land his cattle can graze on, suggested in a New York Times story that African Americans might be better off as slaves given their current situation. He did not suggest that. And I'm going to clear this up for you right now, and I'm going to bring in an African American who has actual slaves in his family lineage is going to clear this up for you right here on ppsimmons. But let's go over this here for a second. This is Cliven Bundy here, and the Washington Post is suggesting that he is suggesting that African Americans will be better off as slaves. No, what he is doing is he is casting an indictment against their situation and the situation that the government has put the black population in. And he's saying that at least when they were slaves, they had better family lives. So what he's saying, he's not saying that they should go back to being slaves. He's saying they were better off as slaves than their current situation, which the government has forced them into. They're in a sort of slavery today. In fact, they haven't really left that. And I've been saying this for years. They're slaves to the Democrat Party. They feel this strange connection to the Democrat Party, that they just vote for them because I mean it's odd that they do that. It's like a Stockholm syndrome, that they were kept in slavery by the Democrats, and now they're just offering themselves to them continuously. And here's Cliven's comments in quotes here. He said, "I want to tell you one more thing I know about the Negro." Possibly not a great word to use there. He said Mr. Bundy recalled driving past a public housing project in North Vegas. And he says, and in front of that government house, the door was usually open, and the older people and the kids, and there's always at least half a dozen people sitting on the porch. They didn't have nothing to do. He doesn't sound like a very educated man, does he? They didn't have nothing to do. They didn't have nothing for their kids to do. I don't know. This guy should not have spoken at all if this is the kind of language he's going to use in front of an international audience. They didn't have nothing for their young girls to do. Well, we're not going to get into the language aspect of it here because there's a greater point to be made. So you have to sort of I don't know, check your brain at the door a little bit when you listen to this guy. It says, and because they were basically on government subsidy, so now what do? He asked. They abort their young children. They put their young men in jail because they never learned how to pick cotton. And I've often wondered, are they better off as slaves picking cotton and having a family life and doing things, or are they better off under government subsidy? They didn't get no more freedom. They didn't get no more freedom. They got less freedom. So essentially, he's saying what I've been saying for years, that this dedication to the Democrat liberal nanny to state government is a form of slavery. It is. They haven't really this dedication to the Democrat Party, to liberalism, is a form of slavery. They haven't really reached out beyond the shackles, and this is all confirmed by this guy here. This is a local article from Virginia Politics. It's a guy named Marcus Schmidt. And he writes, at a Juneteenth event in Newport News, E.W. Jackson, the Republican candidate for lieutenant governor, said that slavery did not destroy black families, but government welfare programs launched in the 60s caused them to deteriorate. Speaking before a small crowd at King Lincoln Park Wednesday, not too far from where the first African slaves entered the colonies, Jackson referred to his great-grandparents, who were slaves and sharecroppers in Orange County. I am a direct descendant of slaves. My grandfather was born there to a father and a mother who had been slaves, and by the way, their family was more intact than the black family is today, Jackson said. So he's saying essentially what Clive Bundy said. He said, I'm telling you that slavery did not destroy the black family, even though it certainly was an attack on the black family. It made it difficult, he said. Juneteenth marks the day in June 1865 when enslaved blacks in Texas learned that Civil War was over and that the Emancipation Proclamation was in effect. Democrats began circulating a video of Jackson's speech late Wednesday. The Cuccinelli-Jackson-Obenshain ticket cannot go a week without dividing and offending Virginians with their extreme rhetoric. But it goes on here. It says, this Republican's ticket preoccupation with comparing things to slavery is insulting, as is E.W. Jackson's dangerous suggestion that legislation in the 60s was somehow worse for African-American families than slavery, hearing said. But Jackson claims that welfare programs created in the 60s caused the deterioration of black families. Listen to this. The program that began to tell women, you don't need a man in the home, the government will take care of you, and that began to tell men, you don't need to be in the home, the government will take care of this woman and will take care of those children, he said. Jackson presumably was referring to the Food Stamp Act of 1964, rather. And then he says this, and this is the most profound and compelling part of this for me anyway. He said, in 1960, most black children were raised in two-parent monogamous families, Jackson said Wednesday. By this time, he's referring to today, 2014, he says, we only have 20% of black children being raised in two-parent monogamous families with a married man and woman raising those children. It wasn't slavery that did that, he said. It was government that did that, trying to solve problems that only God can solve and that only we as human beings can solve. So he is taking government to the shed here, just like Clive and Bundy did. Now, Clive and Bundy's only fault here is that he doesn't have apparently the proper education to get his point across without offending people. So he probably should have left this one alone. But here we have this Jackson guy. Whether or not he knows it, he's actually coming to the defense of Clive and Bundy. And I say that people who are, throwing Bundy under the bus over this, they're just looking at the veneer of it. They're not really going into any depth of the comments that Clive and Bundy made. He's absolutely right. He's not saying that we should enact slavery laws in the United States. He's simply saying that blacks are still under a form of slavery by giving their vote, their single franchise, to the Democrat Party every year, which keeps them enslaved, in shackles, and does not promote the nuclear family and the ability of the black man to exercise his God-given genius and make something of his life. And that's all we're saying here. I mean, that's all I have to say about it. Hopefully I've done a better job than Clive and Bundy of articulating the matter here. I'm not always the smartest guy in the world either. And I say things that, get messed up sometimes. But I just want you guys to know that he did make a valid point here. As horribly as he made it, it is a valid point. My name is Mike Shoesmith. Thanks for watching.